the story goes on, right? Is that doing a great job for Cisco. We spend the next couple of years working with them on requirements and building the platform. And then someone leaves Cisco and goes to Oracle, right? And the next thing you know, Oracle's using spreadsheets to it and has to have us. And then someone goes to NetApp and they have to have us because everyone's using spreadsheets and Outlook to do this. And it's a very nightmare of a process.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here with Aaron Karpaty, who is the VP of Strategic Accounts at Jifflenow. Hey, Aaron, how's it going?
Good, Andy. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Yeah, I'm excited about our conversation. Tell me a little bit.
Me too.
Yeah, great. Tell me a little bit about yourself and Jifflenow.
Yeah, so Aaron Karpaty, been at Jifflenow for actually January was about 10 years. First sales rep at Jifflenow. So I was working at another events-focused company, supporting companies, Fortune 500, and was looking to partner with Jifflenow. And we just raised our first round of funding from Excel partners, and the CEO really wanted me to come on as the first salesperson. So joined 10 years ago, and I think we had about 8 logos at the time that I joined, and we have about over 200 we have about 200 customers today.
Nice. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Tell me, what does a company do and how do you help your customers?
Yeah. So, as I've been in the event business about 20 years, and before I was helping to schedule and manage assets that were going into events that people were going to demo, right? Like HP was going to send all their equipment out to a trade show, and there was going to be product experts that are there demoing their products. And I would go out and set up those demos and support those all the way through. And so we were scheduling and managing the equipment. And when I ran into the CEO of Jifflenow, he was working on scheduling and managing people, right? And so I thought, hey, this is a real good partnership. But like I said, instead of partnering, we moved into, me working for Jifflenow. And the way that they got started, Jifflenow got started, is we were solving a pain point to schedule and manage professors for college courses. Okay. And there was a need for that. And so our founder, entrepreneur, and engineer had built some software to solve that pain point. Story is, he was at a dinner party and somebody from Cisco Systems was there talking about some pain that they had around scheduling and managing their most important meetings at events. They were using Outlook and spreadsheets, and it was just a nightmare of a process. And so our CEO said, hey, I think I can tweak our system a little bit to solve your pain. And Cisco Systems ended up being Jifflenow's first kind of customer for scheduling and managing meetings and reporting on them at events.
Love that. That's such a great story. It's always innovation. Stories like that are so captivating, and it's just great to see how that one pain point turned into the future of the business.
Yeah. It's a great story.
Yeah. So tell me, what verticals do you service? Are you getting out to market?
Yeah. Well, the story goes on, right? Is that doing a great job for Cisco. We spend the next couple of years working with them on requirements and building the platform. And then someone leaves Cisco and goes to Oracle, right? And the next thing you know, Oracle's using spreadsheets to it and has to have us. And then someone goes to NetApp and they have to have us because everyone's using spreadsheets and Outlook to do this. And it's a very nightmare of a process.
Yeah.
I've met with event staff and meeting managers. If you go to our LinkedIn, you'll hear about Nicola Kastner that came from SAP. She talks about the pink pants story where she had been wearing the same pants all night long because she never got to go back to her hotel room because she was on spreadsheets trying to manage their executive meetings all night. Right. And so, people were having that same pain point across the industry. Right. And so it really started where it was, like I said, word of mouth. And when I got to the company, there was about 8, maybe 5 to 8 really good companies, but that was basically because of people leaving companies and going. And so, traditional, we just started reaching out and booking meetings with people that were using a manual process. And since then, it's just started to grow and we've implemented marketing. But our best demand gen program, to be honest with you, Andy, is that we go to our trade shows to get time with our customers because meeting face to face with your customer is so important. But while we're there, we go booth to booth looking for the spreadsheets.
Right.
Right. And it's easy to find these companies because they look stressed out. There's a lot of chaotic things going on.
Yeah.
Or the other things happening. There's nothing going on in their booth because they're not working to drive meetings prior to getting to the event. Right. And they're only depending on walk by. So that's how we really grew the business in the beginning was, after I came on as the first sales rep and closed like the first 30 logos, we brought on and I built a sales team that then started going out to these events. And so, like I said, we'd go to the booth, would say, hey, we're not a booth builder. We need to talk to you about your spreadsheets. And they would give us a few minutes and they'd say, oh my God, are you serious? I didn't even know there was a solution for something like this. And would give them a demo and they'd use, if they're the right customer, they have the pain point, they'd usually become a customer. So, and our target is the biggest companies in the world that are doing a lot of events or booking a lot of meetings at events. And it's too much of an important engagement to try to have any problems like double booking or time zone. Think of it, you got two executives and a product expert, a customer or two, a sales rep, a meeting room that costs $2,500 or $3,000 a day, and thousands of dollars in travel to have this one meeting. And if there's a double booking issue, if there's a time zone issue, that meeting cannot take place. And if that meeting doesn't take place, that could be a multi-million-dollar deal. So now we've wasted money, we've put pipeline at risk. So to make sure that you can automate that process and eliminate any of the issues, streamline everything, make it easy and report on it, has been pretty much a no-brainer for our qualified targets.
It's really compelling. And it sounds like also there's the before, during, and after aspect of the platform. Let's talk a little bit about some of the functionality. Tell me a little bit about that and how the platform aligns with that whole journey before, during, and after the event.
Yeah, no problem. And I will say as the product has evolved, like I said before, it really started with how do we solve the pain, right? And as we started to work with some of the biggest companies in the world, they started to really drive us on more opportunity to add value with not only can we solve the pain, but can we meet some very complex requirements also, right? Because it's always just about solving the scheduling, but how do we make sure the right people are in the right space? So how do we map products and meeting types to the right people, right?
Yeah.
So if I pick an executive meeting, when I go to the next page, I'm going to see the executive people in my company that I'm going to pick to add to my meeting. If I pick a demo, I'm going to see the subject matter experts that can help me demo, and I'm going to see the demo stations where I can do demos, right? So the product is helping automate, but also align the right people in the right meetings with the right content so that everybody is prepared for this meeting and we have the best chance of this meeting converting into an opportunity.
Yeah.
That's going to drive revenue.
Yeah. So creating smart meetings. It's great.
So that's how it's kind of evolved, and we continue to add features. And so we've spent, 10 years working with some of the biggest companies in the world. There's probably not a huge Fortune 500 technology company you could bring up that's not our customer today. And those are the people that have worked with us to add feature after feature to meet their complex enterprise requirements. And on top of that, not only the scheduling piece, but now how do we drive more meetings that's going to be able to help us create an advanced pipeline that we can track and report on. Yeah. So that helped us start to look at, hey, what are the tools we should integrate with, right? So we started integrating with event registration tools like Cvent and RainFocus and Visible and Eventry. And then, hey, we really want to push all of this data back to Salesforce.
Right.
Right. And hey, our sales reps don't want to have to use event software. They use Salesforce all day long. So let's make it so they never have to leave Salesforce to book the meeting. And now we can start aligning pipeline and revenue to these meetings and start looking at ROI across the events. And it constantly evolves. And I see it in the future evolving to much more AI and being suggestive and telling people, hey, you booked this amount of meetings, but you need this amount more meetings to help close those deals. And these are the types of meetings that you need. And now we're starting to look at avenues outside of just events. Like you said, pre-event, hey, let's book some qualified meetings with current customers to help advance things, or new prospects to help create opportunities. While we're at the event, let's book people that they're walking by. Instead of just scanning a badge and getting a lead that we're going to follow up later, let's scan a badge, get what they're interested in, and book them into a meeting right there on the show floor.
Love that.
Right. So we can accelerate the sales cycle. Instead of having a follow-up process, meet with them there and create an opportunity. So we leave the event with opportunity pipeline, not just leads. And then we book a lot of meetings while we're at events also. So, hey, if they can't meet with us right now, let's scan their badge and find another time over the next couple of weeks that they can meet with an expert.
Yeah.
So again, it's evolved into not just solving the pain of scheduling, but how do we, just like you're saying, pre-event, during event, and post-event, drive meetings that are going to drive pipeline, right?
Yeah.
We talk about, if pipeline's the lead indicator to revenue, then meetings are the lead indicator to pipeline. I just got off the phone with our sales team and said, hey guys, we need to really look at how many meetings we've booked this month, because we need a certain amount of meetings to hit our pipeline numbers.
Right.
So that's really what it's turned into. And so we've really started to involve in, there's events, there's experience centers, there's everyday campaigns where we're trying to engage with customers to get them the right engagement with the right expert, with the right executive, with the right staff, to get their questions answered so we can convert them into revenue. And we do that really well with events. We're starting to do that with other campaigns on a regular basis. And we have a product launching soon that's going to help sales reps on a day-to-day basis with their meetings as well.
Makes so much sense. I love the idea. There's so much money to spend on going to events and on booths and all of this, and taking a lot of that fragmentation out of the process. All that fragmentation leads to leakage, basically. So tightening that up leads to stronger pipeline and better outcomes, stronger ROI. Makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about the business side of the company, SaaS model, different tiers that you have. Tell me a little bit about how that's structured.
Yeah, it's really set up for, what makes sense for our customers. For our event customers, they usually own an event portfolio with different tiers of events. So we give them the model that works for them. We try not to limit them on how many meetings they can book, right? So we charge per event, and they buy a certain amount of events based on a 12-month basis, just like any SaaS subscription. And it's an event license. The campaign where it's on all year long, and we're trying to drive meetings across websites and email campaigns and other things. That's usually an instance flat rate. And then we do have our product that's for the sales rep that's more on a seat license. So we really look at what's the use case, who's the customer, and what's the pricing model going to work best for them. But it is a subscription SaaS-based model.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
And as you're looking at growth, I would imagine now that we're out of COVID and people are going back to events and we're, on location at events, tell me a little bit about where there's growth for the company and where you're seeing growth.
Yeah, well, we've been growing more in the last couple of years than even the years prior that I've been here. And I think there's a couple reasons for that, Andy. I think that, during COVID, and it was hard for a lot of us companies that are pure live events companies, right? All of a sudden one day there's no live events. And so we all had to pivot into virtual, and we all did our best to try to drive the same value at virtual events as that people got at live events. But it just didn't happen, right? You could get the masses for driving content, right? You could have 3 or 4 or 10 times more people show up to a virtual event to get content across, but the level of engagement that helped have meetings that created an advanced pipeline wasn't there.
Yeah.
So that really had an impact on pipeline. And I think that because there was a real value increase, even at the executive level, into the CFO and more, is that if we're going to go to events, we have to drive these engagements, right? So, and we have to really look at, if we're not driving those engagements, then we need to cut those events. And so with the way the market is shifted, it's like, hey, there's a huge value on engagement because we couldn't get any during virtual. Now, because of everyone's scared of the economy, everyone needs to cut costs, doing layoffs, squeezing their belts everywhere they can. So how do we do more with less? And if we're going to go to an event, that we make sure we go to an event where we're booking meetings that turn into pipeline. And so that's really, in the last year, I would say, helped us grow more than we ever have. Right. Even knowing a lot of times we are the ones that show our customers that these events you're going to, you're not booking a lot of meetings. Why are you still going to it? And we charge by the event. There's value in showing them, hey, we want to be able to help you drive more meetings at the events you are able to connect with your customers. That is going to drive pipeline and revenue. And so we're going to retain your business because we're driving the value there. So that's been where our growth is aligned with, I would say, the market conditions, is that we can help save time and we can help you identify what events are performing to drive meetings that drive pipeline and help you drive those meetings, make sure that they convert in the best way, that you report on them, and that you have the best chance of driving more meetings to maximize that spend.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. And so tell me a little bit about who in the organization is your customer. You mentioned that you work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, but who in the org is the buyer?
Yeah, and Fortune 500, those are obviously some of our biggest customers. I'd say we still probably work with the top, Fortune 5,000. The real personas are still marketing, and it's all the way up from VP of marketing and CMOs to marketing managers, and then event marketing, demand gen, campaign teams. We see a lot of growth marketing today that's very demand gen focused. So again, it's not just about going to events to get new logos, but also to meet with current customers to drive expansion opportunities, right? So those are the teams that we're engaging with, and I think we have a whole nother opportunity to engage with sales enablement and sales teams. Those are usually the people using our tool, but the people that are buying us, that we're helping in their engagement and demand gen programs are marketing.
Right.
Yeah. And
they need to show ROI for these events that they're spending money on. So this helps them show that kind of ROI.
That's right.
About that. Talk about some of the reporting or some of the ways that your customers are able to demonstrate the ROI in their org.
Yeah, great opportunity to share that. We just had a customer that did their corporate event a few weeks ago. It was actually in San Francisco, and they had some goals of how many meetings they wanted to book, and actually how much pipeline they wanted to create or advance as a result of the meetings that they were scheduling. And they had been using spreadsheets in prior years, and they also had been doing virtual for the last 3 years for their annual conference. And this last year was their first event back live, right? They didn't want to overset too many goals, but they wanted to be successful, and they have a huge push on growing. And they booked 3 times the amount of meetings, and I think they had about a 10 million pipeline number, and they did like 25 million or something like that in pipeline. So they were just ecstatic. I'm asking to work with them on a case study right now. But those are some examples that we've heard throughout the years, right? We've had other really big software companies, well-known companies that have used us year after year at their corporate events or even their trade shows, where they've just seen an increase in meetings. But they've also worked on not just the increase in meetings, but the quality of meetings, right? So sometimes they've even had less meetings, but better quality that equaled to better results. So now they're looking at, hey, how can we have more of those qualified meetings that then we can report on? So after they schedule all the meetings within Jifflenow, there's some data that they capture along the way. So this is, hey, we have a current opportunity in Salesforce. It has a 200K deal attached to it. We're meeting with the customer at this upcoming trade show, right? We're adding our executive, maybe a product expert. We're meeting in an executive suite there. We're going to take them out to dinner. We're going to have a meeting with them. And we're hopefully going to advance that 200,000, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're going to tie all of those meetings to an advancement number, that event and that, marketing, putting that platform together for sales to help advance those deals came from the meetings at that event. And then the other part is if we're meeting and there's not an opportunity yet, during the meeting, the host of the meeting can take notes or set next steps and help say, hey, did this help create or advance an opportunity? If yes, what's the revenue opportunity amount? And so now we're booking these meetings both with net new opportunities and current opportunities, and able to easily report right out of Jifflenow or push the data back to Salesforce or marketing automation that creates reports saying, hey, this is how many meetings we booked, and this is how much pipeline influence on how much pipeline create and how much pipeline advance as a result of these engagements at the event, right?
Very cool.
And so too often that what's happening, Andy, and that's why I feel my job, other than just sales, is out educating most of the time, right? Because the market still has a lot of people at some of the biggest, oldest companies in the world that are going to shows for brand awareness, that are scanning badges, that are, hey, the sales team is booking their meetings with their customers. That's not really our business. The problem is that they're getting their budget cut because they have no visibility to those meetings that are advancing some of the biggest deals they have,
Right.
because they're not involved in it. So not only can we help them with this, but we can start helping connect sales and marketing. And then sales can work on, how do we help drive outbound meetings? How does marketing help drive inbound meetings? And how do we maximize meetings at events that's going to drive pipeline that we can report on?
Yeah. And I love the attribution that you're talking about through all of that. It's really compelling. It's, instead of having these meetings happen, maybe they happened at an event, maybe it was documented in Salesforce, maybe it wasn't.
Right.
Fully documented in Salesforce. And you can show not only the attribution of that meeting, but net new deals as well.
That's right. And I was just on the phone with the customer this morning, and they were talking about, hey, our sales reps, sometimes they book meetings outside of our booth area. They're having dinners or they're meeting their customer at the bar, and that's not part of our reporting at all. Right. That's why Jifflenow has an offsite section that they can just click the offsite, type in the location, and that manages all of it. But now we're not just reporting on the meetings that are in the booth or in meeting rooms, but all those meetings that are happening outside of the rooms, that sometimes are creating the biggest deals. That way, I can see it right now. It's, hey, we're going to cut costs on this event because we don't see the value. Over there at the bar, there's a sales rep closing one of their biggest deals of the quarter.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not that the value is not there, it's that the communication is lost because there's not a platform that aligns everybody. So I like to say that's some of the value that we bring. It's just kind of aligning everybody and helping them have visibility into what they don't know, so they can justify the spend and keep their budgets and just not be misinformed.
Makes so much sense. Yeah. And you talked about the education side of what you do. Let's dig into that a little bit. You guys are great at content marketing and telling your story. Tell me a little bit about the value that content marketing has added to your company.
Well, that's been something, we've always been a little bit more old school in that like I said, we're going to events and we're trying to go directly. We've been absolutely blessed with the ability to just go to an event and walk right up to a booth of the person that we know needs us. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that just have never heard about us. They don't even know that there's a solution out there. And so being able to, align, build the right content. And I always tell people this, even our customers, and it goes for us as well, is it's got to be the right people around the right content, having the right conversation that's going to help create and advance deals. And you need content along the whole way, right? It's content that's going to interest you to want to meet in the first place. We actually added a session capability in our platform so that our customers could do these group setting kind of demos in the booth where they could just invite a bunch of companies and they could share some content that then would interest them enough to then they wanted to meet. So it was like, hey, let's drive content through sessions. Once they're interested, convert them to a meeting and then try to create opportunity pipeline out of that meeting. And so it all starts with content. Right now, if I have my SDRs reaching out and trying to book meetings with people, what kind of content do they have to be able to help that customer understand a little bit more about what Jifflenow does and why they would spend 30 minutes with us?
Right.
So I still think content is king in the sense of that, right? Nobody wants to be sold to. They want to be able to identify that there's some value here that catches their attention, that they can connect with, that then makes them want to engage. And then once they're engaged, then we can go along and explain the real value, and then we can become partners. But to do that, they need to connect, and we need the right content to help people connect. That's what I talk to customers about on a regular basis, because I get companies that say, "Hey, Aaron, we'd love to use your tool. Can you help us get more meetings?"
Right.
Right? And I'm like, I can't do that, but you need to work with your content team so that you can build content and do things like podcast and things that will help people see this, relate, connect to it,
Yeah.
want to engage, and then book some time.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we always say that the educated customer is your best customer because they're going to close faster and they typically stay longer as well. They know the value.
Right. But again, sometimes it's hard for them to even give you the time to educate them if they're not if they don't engage, right? And to get engaged, they need to connect. And we need to either connect because you've gone face-to-face time and built rapport, or there's content that has gotten them to connect with because they relate so much.
Right. Exactly. Well, this is really exciting, Aaron. I'm excited about the growth and path that you're on for further growth here.
Yeah.
I guess my last question for you is, what would you like to be celebrating a year from now?
Oh man, we have some big dreams here at Jifflenow. You know, we'd love to be the meeting automation platform of record for enterprise companies, or actually for everybody, right? Is adding to become a meetings-driven organization that fuels pipeline and growth. And if Jifflenow can help do that, whether it's at events or anywhere else in the company, we want to be that platform. We want to help our customers grow. And as a result, I think we'll grow because of it. And so that's really my dream in the next year. We're going to continue on that path, and we're going to do everything we can to be customer obsessed. And how can we help our customers grow? And super exciting to be at Jifflenow right now.
And how do people find you? What's the URL and how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so jifflenow.com, jifflenow.com. And we have a button to schedule a demo on the site. If you go to our events page, you can see some of the events that we're attending as well. And if you're attending those events, usually one of us is attending, and you can book some time for us to come by your booth or come by and talk to you. But yeah, the whole thing is reach out to jifflenow.com, and we'll get you some time and spend some more time with you.
Great stuff. Thanks so much, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, Andy. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.